So now we're going to introduce our guests for this evening. And I really am, we've been working on this, as I said earlier, since late spring, and I'm just really, really thrilled that you, Ruth, and George are with us today. And after you sent me your bio, just completely blown away. So I am actually going to read all of what you sent me because it's really important that people know who's here. Ruth, first, you have a BA in Business Administration and currently pursuing a Master's of Healthcare Administration at AdventHealth University. You're an insurance agent with Brown & Brown, and you've been privileged since 2013 to represent AdventHealth Foundation as a development officer. AdventHealth partners with Rotary clubs to provide hope and healing to children around the world. You're an honorary member of 4 Rotary clubs in District 6980, and you've been made a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. Ruth is married, has 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. You've made over 100 presentations to Rotary clubs in Florida, and now you can add South Carolina to your list. And you never tire of reminding parents how they're changing the world one child at a time. And George, better known as the Waterman, you were born in New York City and grew up in New Jersey. After graduating from Wagner College and serving in the Army, you played professional baseball for several years in the Boston Red Sox organization. So they let in somebody who was from New York and New Jersey, huh? Wow, that's a pretty big deal. You were a stockbroker, mostly with Merrill Lynch, until you retired in 2000 while living in San Diego. And your real passion is to help. In 2002, you moved to Florence, Oregon, and immediately joined Rotary for the first time. Your real passion is to help the less fortunate around the world. The Rotary Global History Fellowship recently named him the first charter member of the Heroes, which honors those Rotarians whose deeds and dedication to the ideals of Rotary are recorded for posterity, which is incredibly important work that we do record these contributions so that they can be appreciated by those who come after us. Wow. Your major donor, level 2, and Harris Society. The trustees of the Rotary Foundation bestowed George with the prestigious Citation for Meritorious Service Award. Wow. And you're currently a member of the Rotary Club of Lakewood Ranch, Florida. So you have been around, and after I'm counting all that, I bet you're probably up to 4 or 5 or 6 Rotary clubs if you've moved around. Maybe you've lost count. Anyway, Ruth and George, thank you so much for being with us today, and take it away. Whatever we can do to support you, just let me know in a chat or just let us know. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about Rotary's partnership with AdventHealth. AdventHealth have been doing mission trips for 10 years and really struggled to do something that was long-term and sustainable and measurable. We had kind of parachuted in and did our thing and leave. Well, the great thing was there was someone on our board who was a member of Rotary, and he said, hey, have you thought about partnering with Rotary? We said, well, no, we haven't. He encouraged us, and he was so right. Rotary has done for AdventHealth what AdventHealth with our 92,000 employees couldn't do for itself. And that's to have a long-term, sustainable, measurable medical program that's having a lasting impact on the lives of children around the world. So our board member, who is a member of the local Rotary Club, was retired, but he used to run USAID in Mexico. So he reached out to them and said, what do you need? And they told him, we have a lot of children born with a cleft lip or palate. A child born with cleft does need plastic surgery, but this is not a case of, my ears are sticking out a little too far. This is a case of I'm an infant. I'm trying to nourish myself by sucking on a nipple, but there's a hole in the roof of my mouth. So it's very difficult for these children. They're bullied terribly. They don't go to school. As you said, Candace, with one of your colleagues, that they have a difficult time getting enough to eat. So Rotary stepped in to help. And there's a gentleman, now George hasn't been on a trip yet, but there's a gentleman who has been on a number of our trips, and he has sponsored these grants. And so he wasn't able to join us tonight. He's in his late 80s. His name is Dick Phoebus, but he made a little video about how this global grant project worked that we did with Rotary. And so I just wanted to share that with you. So let me see. I think I go share screen and then share sound and then here and share. Okay, let me know if you can hear it. Oops, should be playing. Okay. The music is loud, but the talking isn't.
Arrival on the first day is always kind of exciting because the local Rotary clubs have kind of prepared the community. We arrive at a hospital and there may be 50 or 60 kids plus 50 or 60 moms and dads and grandmoms and siblings waiting for us anxiously because they know this is an opportunity to change the life of their kids.
I am Wilbur Davis. I'm an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. Sharing Smiles has a cleft and lip and palate team, a pediatric dental team, and physical therapy team. It's helping one child at a time.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Lawton-Kuhn. I am a board member with Sharing Smiles. Check-in day was incredible, just to meet all the families and to see the need that was there. Then on surgery day, just to see the partnership that happens between the doctors here in Mexico and our doctors in the U.S., just the collaboration in surgery, out of surgery, just the teaching and the collaboration was probably my favorite part.
There's a thing in Rotary called your Rotary moment. And at one time, usually in a person's Rotary life or career, there's something that really hits them to say that what we're doing is really worthwhile. And it happened on my first cleft lip and cleft palate visit when I saw those kids, and a day later I saw the work that the surgeons had done and knew in my heart that their life was immediately changed.
So we are sharing smiles, but we are doing it with you. So now I want to share with you a little PowerPoint about how Rotary partners with AdventHealth. Sorry, I'm getting better at this. You would think after all these years of Zoom. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Here we go. See if I can find this PowerPoint. Seems like when I try to launch it in advance, then it freezes. Okay. Oops, hold on a second.
Take your time. We all have been through this. So.
We've all been there. Okay. Cool. Sorry, I need to hide video. Hold on a second. Ugh. All right, share screen. Here we go. There we go. Okay. I don't need the sound on this one. Share. Let me know when you can see it.
Okay.
Can you see it? Okay, great.
Yep.
So
Yes.
we've been working with Rotary on global grant projects. And what we've been focusing on are vocational training teams, which is a kind of Rotary grant. And the area of focus is maternal and child health. So you're probably familiar with global grants. It's a large Rotary project that has a budget of at least $30,000, and it's in one of Rotary's 7 areas of focus. And you have to show Rotary how it is sustainable. So why is it important for us to partner with Rotary? Let's see if I can get to the next slide. Hey, next slide. Okay, there we go. When we arrive at the hospital, we are greeted by the host Rotarians when we get to the airport. Do you know why that's important? Has anyone ever tried to get drugs into South America? Yeah, it doesn't work too well. So before we started partnering with Rotary, we would ship our supplies and equipment onto some unnamed government official. And when we arrived, that stuff must have grown legs because we never saw it. But now when we arrive, we get all of our supplies and equipment through the border without paying any of those little fees or whatever they call those. Everyone who goes on our trips are volunteers. Nobody's getting paid to do this. And trust me, this is not Club Med. Maybe Club Med Surge? Is that a thing? Anyway, so we always work at the public hospitals that serve the poorest of the poor. The gentleman in the middle is the president of our foundation. He is a Rotarian. Next to him, my colleague Michelle is our program manager. She is a Rotarian. And then there's our plastic surgeon and board chair. How do the families know that we're coming? Do you think they all have high-speed internet? No. Rotary puts up posters like this. Rotary does advertisements. Yes, Facebook can fix faces, but they also do advertisements in the newspaper. Like I said, on radio, on television. Rotary literally goes out into the highways and hedges, as it were, to compel them to come in. So why do the families come? You know, we get excited when U.S. News and World Report votes our healthcare system as #1. How many people in Mexico do you think are reading U.S. News and World Report? Not so much. How many of them know Rotary? All of them do. They know that golden wheel. When they follow that Rotary golden wheel, that something good is coming to their community. And so it is your reputation, which is why these families come. So this is what it looks like when the families arrive. This is what a stroller looks like if you're poor and you're in South America. You kind of wrap the little one in a blanket and throw them on your back and bring them with you. And when they arrive, they have literally nothing, like the clothes on their back. So we are very excited to have the Rotaractors help us set up, because here's Rotaract helping us to set up on setup day in the hospital, and this is evaluation day. We are mobbed. It looks like every kid in the country is born with a cleft lip or palate. And we only have a small team of volunteers who are setting up the operating room in the back. We could never manage this crowd without Rotary. They keep all the kids entertained, and it's funny when they dress up like Disney characters, because I'm from Orlando. We're like, really? But, you know, it's a small world after all. So this is Dick Phoebus in the checkered shirt. He has his granddaughter there with him, and she'd never seen a child with a cleft lip or a palate before. Let me show you another view of this little girl. What would you do if your child was born like this? What would you not do, right? They know what to do. They follow the golden Rotary wheel, because that's where healing and hope has always been found in their community. This little boy with the bib had his lip done last year. We're back to do his palate. 2 boys, right? You can barely tell the difference between him and his brother. 2 Rotary clubs, and this child's life is changed forever. So now our doctors are screening the patients with their doctors. For the purposes of Rotary, this is called a vocational training team. So we screen all the patients together. You have a lot of Rotary activities. I don't know what your favorite one is, or what kind of a souvenir you brought back, but this mother seemed to be a little bit older than usual to have such a little child. So I asked her, is this your son? And she said, well, he is now. 4 years ago, my husband and I volunteered for this Rotary campaign, and a young woman thrust this infant at us and said, here, we can't keep him, he's cursed. So they adopted him. They named him Ben. He had his lip surgery. He's been living with them all these years, and now he's back to have his palate surgery. My friends, this is the spirit of Rotary. So now we are screening the people for speech therapy. We need speech therapy if you're born with a cleft or you talk like this. If you're born with a hole in the roof of your mouth and that's how you learn to talk, just because we fix you surgically doesn't mean that anyone will understand what you're saying. And we were never able to add the discipline of speech therapy before Rotary. So here our speech therapists are training the local therapists. We didn't have enough books in Spanish, and this was going to be a problem because we need every single member of our team. We cannot leave the hospital. But this is Janice. She's a Rotarian, and she was the boots on the ground. She grabbed the book, ran around town, found a copy center, made copies, brought them back, and handed them out to everybody who needed them. Is this a small thing? No, my friends, not for what these families need all year to work with their children. This is the spirit of Rotary. So this little boy, Teddy, in the blue, was there with his mom, and they were excited and thought that they were going to have surgery, and then somehow they missed something in the translator and misunderstood. So they thought they weren't eligible for surgery, and they went back up into the woods in the jungle, hours away, very discouraged. Well, when the day came for surgery, we called his name. Hey, Teddy. But Teddy wasn't there, and there was nothing we could do about it. But the local Rotary Club knew what to do. They went all the way back, drove into the jungle, knocked on every door till they found his family. He couldn't afford to make the trip again with his family. The local Rotary Club was not letting that stand. They paid for the cost of his family to come and a place to stay and food until he had his surgery. My friends, this is the spirit and the power of Rotary. So now our doctors have screened the patients with their doctors. You can see our non-electronic medical record system, where all the patient files there are lined up, and our doctors say to theirs, okay, which cases are you doing? Which ones am I doing? Which ones are we doing together? For the purposes of Rotary, they call this a vocational training team. Yes, there are plastic surgeons in other countries, but in the United States, we sort of have the corner on the market on vanity. So if there's a plastic surgery procedure that's going to speed healing and reduce swelling and scarring and bleeding, we kind of have that. But again, for the purposes of Rotary, we say vocational training team, and we share our best practices. We are very respectful for professionals with professionals in other countries. So when we got to the hospital, they were kind of embarrassed because there was a leak in the municipal water system. Our doctors are really great doctors, but they are terrible plumbers. So even though Mr. Phoebus didn't speak Spanish and the gentleman there, Pedro, didn't speak English, between the two of them, they figured out the word agua. And the next thing you know, clean, purified water was brought into the hospital. We washed our hands, we sterilized our instruments. The entire surgical week was saved. Why? Because of AdventHealth? No, because of you, because of Rotary, that just happens to have clean water as a priority. Rotary provides meals to the patients and the families. Again, they've come from many, many days walking away, and they have nothing at all. Rotary even sews those little gowns to give to the patients to wear during their surgery. They don't always change the sheets at the hospital between patients. You just have to go with whatever they do there, but Rotary makes sure they have something clean to wear. Rotary runs the entire program. They measure the little ones, they weigh them, they make sure their medical records are all there. They comfort the moms who are kind of nervous. So for the purposes of Rotary, a host club, whatever club is hosting you in their country, and the international club must work very closely together. Global grants don't have to be complicated, but there's a lot of paperwork. So now we line up all the patients and we say, we bring them all back in, we screen them all, and we say, your surgery day is Monday, yours is Tuesday, yours is Wednesday. Well, what do you do if your surgery day is Wednesday? There's no Motel 6. And even if there were, they don't have any money to do that. So they sleep outside of the hospital on cardboard in the courtyard. Well, they did that. But then Rotary built this little bunkhouse, and they put a sign on the front of the hospital that says in Spanish, if you are here for the cleft lip and palate campaign and you need somewhere to stay and somewhere with food, we have a place for you. And I know that this looks very humble, but trust me, when you are poor, living in a less developed country, and you have an open fire in your house and you live in basically a hut, they are thrilled to have someplace clean and dry and safe and warm where they can wait with their families and their little one to have surgery. This is the spirit of Rotary. So this young man comes through surgery, and the first thing he says is, yes, now I can have a girlfriend. Really? A girlfriend? You know what? He's 21 years old. He's thinking what every other 21-year-old young man is thinking, that he wants a young lady finally to notice him. But his mother cannot contain her emotion. This is her son. This is what keeps her heart beating every single day. What do you think this mother thinks about Rotary? Do we need to show her the 4-way test? Oh no, my friends, she knows. She knows today, her whole village will know tomorrow, and the rest of her son's life when she looks at that beautiful, healed face that's so normal. Excuse me. There is one name that she will remember. That name, my friends, is Rotary. 2 hours, 2 Rotary clubs, and the entire trajectory of this child's life is changed forever. This is Carlo Matias before and after Rotary. This is Paul Farino. He's from the Club of the Villages. Paul is an RN, full colonel, served in the Army, actually took care of President Reagan. He came just to supervise on the first trip, but we had a few nurses who drank the water. Don't do it. Just don't. Let's just say that those nurses had to exit the operating room very quickly and run down the hall. Paul jumped in and ran the whole recovery room. Even though Paul is very patriotic, he will tell you that caring for our president, paled in comparison to this Rotary experience. Paul is old. He lives in our retirement village, is supposed to be playing golf, but he is taking care of these babies because he is a true Rotarian. So he nicknamed this guy in the green his little George Foreman. So it does take a team working together, but it's Rotary who brings the healers together and makes it sustainable. After our team is back in the United States, Rotarians make sure these children get to their follow-up visits. Rotarians make sure that the local hospitals do not renege on their promise for these children to get free follow-up care. Rotarians make sure that the local government officials do not change their mind. We have absolutely nothing to do with any of that, but Rotarians, if you travel internationally, you know that these are the captains of industry. They run those towns. This is their program, and Rotarians make sure that this program continues and is sustainable. So yes, our doctors work with their doctors. You can see that they have their hands in the same child's mouth. Everywhere we go, we have Rotary partners. In Bolivia, where the incidence of cleft lip and palate is very high, Rotary sent someone from the cadre of technical advisors, and they have asked us to continue this project on a multi-year basis. Rotary partners in Mexico. These two tall gentlemen are from the club that I work with a lot in the villages, and they're both Arch Clump Society members, which, if you're not familiar with Rotary, but it sounds like you are, they've each made a personal contribution to the Rotary Foundation of at least $250,000. This is support for the Rotary Foundation at the very highest level. Rotary partners in Peru, the club we work with in Peru, where George's club just 2 weeks ago sponsored a trip, only has 15 members in their club. So don't think because you're a small club, you can't have a big impact. The first time I went on one of these trips, we screened 90 children, but we could only operate on 45. And I had to watch the faces of these parents while we said, I'm very sorry, but we can't help your baby this year. But because of the generosity of Rotarians in the United States, we don't have to do that anymore. Do you see all those surgery supplies and equipment? Global grant, vocational training team. When you assign your district designated funds, the Rotary Foundation matches that 80 cents on the dollar. How far do you think an American dollar goes in Mexico or Peru or Bolivia? That's a lot of smileage, my friends. Let me tell you about Ana Yoselin. This is when she first came to the clinic as 9 months old. Her mother, who's holding her, Guillermina, is only 17. Dad took off. It's very common for the children to be abandoned by one or both of the parents. Grandma found a syringe. She took the needle out and she's pushing milk into the back of the little girl's throat. They tell you all kinds of weird things in these countries. You just sort of have to go with it. She has a hole in the roof of her mouth, so sucking is very difficult. We screen her very carefully because these children tend to be underweight and they tend to have medical conditions that you have to be pretty careful. Of course, grandma loves her grandbaby. All grandmas do, but society will not be kind to this child. This is a long and complex surgery. And unlike AdventHealth, where we have neonatal intensive care units, this is a public hospital that serves the poorest of the poor. And if you go a little over or a little under on the anesthesia, that child is toast. But the operation is a success and the doctors are very pleased with themselves. Grandma can't help herself. She just hugs the doctor, but not the parents. When you give the child back to the parents, they go, oh. And for about 30 seconds, they're just panicked because their child looks so different. And they think maybe that you've just switched their kid for another kid. And then after about 30 seconds, they just burst into tears because this is her little girl. She can grow up and have a quinceañera and get married and have a normal life. And I don't actually speak Spanish, un poquito, but I know what every mom and dad and grandma and grandpa wants for their little one. And that's just to be normal and have a normal life. And now we have a whole healed family. She came back to visit a year and a half later. You did this. You Rotarians, you donors to the Rotary Foundation, you saved that baby's life. What do you think that mother and that family thinks is the purpose of Rotary? Excuse me. Sorry. My friends, I submit to you, they know exactly what Rotary is. They know exactly what Rotary does. They understand how Rotarians practice service above self. Be so proud to belong to an organization that when you see a face like this, you don't say, whoa, that is too bad. Hey, honey, can you hand me another beer out of the fridge? No. You say, we are Rotarians. This is our area of focus, and we can fix this. And you give to the Rotary Foundation. And little ones like Anna Yoselin will have hope and healing and a changed life forever. Rotary and AdventHealth working in partnership to heal children. That's the point, the partnership. This is Saul before and after. Saul's father thanks you for being a Rotarian, for paying your dues, for showing up at your meetings, for selling your tickets, for doing all those things that President Candace is bugging you about. Why is she bugging you? Because she knows the impact that generosity to the Rotary Foundation has on the lives of children around the world. This is Nasa holding a picture of herself. She's 7 years old now, but that's a picture of her when she first came to our Rotary campaign. This is Laya before and after Rotary. Maribel before and after. Anybody can read her little sign? Right? Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. She didn't write that, of course. Daniela, yes, before and after Rotary. And we say thank you, Rotary partners. Why? Because Rotary changes children forever. And so on behalf of Jesus Adrian, this little guy, I promised all these parents that I would go to as many Rotary clubs as I knew, give to the foundation and say, thank you so much for what you have done. You are their heroes. Thank you. And I will turn it over to George.
Well, thank you, Ruth. You always make me cry. I don't know why, but you always make me cry. You know, I've been involved with hundreds of grants, and I would say that being involved with this particular cause is just extraordinary. I'm in charge of raising money for these grants, and I do it by selling my paintings. I took an adult education course when I retired, and I got stuck on it, and I really like doing it. It's a great hobby. I'm 89 years old now, and I spend almost all of my time doing paintings. I do portraits, but I do mostly pet portraits now. So how do I do this? This is a fantastic deal. A pet portrait, I sell it for $150. It's 14 by 11 inches, unframed, shipped free. And when I take that $150, I take of that $100 and I put it into the grant for the buyer's credit. And in addition to that, I match the $100. So the buyer gets $200 if he buys one of my pet portraits. I'm going to show you my little boy Baxter.
Oh, so George, this is Paul Harris Fellow credit then. Every Rotarian gets $200.
Paul Harris Fellow. This is, how come I can't see my face? Okay, can you see Baxter? No? Doesn't matter. He's beautiful. Okay, that's the deal, and I do this all day. I've painted 690 pet portraits, and all the money, all the net money goes into these grants. You mentioned Jennifer Jones, the past Rotary president. She has a pet portrait. Barry Rassin, past president of Rotary, who's in charge of the Rotary Foundation, he has a painting. I just started a new fundraiser. I love the Rotary Foundation. Without the Rotary Foundation, a lot of this would not happen. So I just love the foundation. So I want to help the foundation. So what I'm doing now, in my district, I started this. And I got the district to say, I want to raise money for the foundation. And this was Foundation Month. I got the chairman of the foundation for my district. He wrote 2 emails to all of the Rotarians in our district and said, if you buy a pet portrait from George, or a portrait from George, or one of his paintings from George, then that money, $150, will go, and the $100 will go into the foundation, and another $100 will go into our cleft palate program. In two emails, in 2 weeks, I have 46 orders for pet portraits. People just love their pets. So I hope your club can give us a donation, but as an individual, you can help. It's a wonderful feeling to know that you're helping one of these kids. You get an original George Lewis painting. Remember, I'm 89 years old, so I'm not going to last too much longer. And when I die, the value of these things is going to go way up. So I hope you can support us. It's a great cause, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, George, I have a feeling you're going to be painting for a long time yet. I just have faith that that's
I
true.
hope so.
I'm quite confident of that. Oh my goodness. How powerful. And what's especially the timing, I'm blown away by our just having celebrated our support Friday night, and then here we are seeing firsthand on the ground where that goes. And I don't ever recall a more moving or passionate presentation, and I understand why. When you see the before and after and those families, and it's just an honor to even be a tiny part of it. So
What's incredible is how grateful they are to Rotary. They can't believe that you rich Americans, trust me, y'all are rich Americans, we care about their little ones. Oh, Julia has a comment.
But Julia, you're on mute.
In the chat I put, can you put George's contact for the pet portrait? I see the video, but not the contact. I don't know if that's on maybe on his Facebook. But my question about the cleft palate surgery. So when you go and you do the first surgery, and then a lot of those need, multiple revisions sometimes when they're really severe. Are they now having teams that are scheduled regularly enough that they just schedule in the next surgery before they leave and say,
They
okay,
don't-
6
Yeah, they don't
months or a
schedule in the
year?
next surgery, but we publicize, well, actually Rotary publicizes when the next campaign is the following year, because the hospital has to have a week where they can give up 1 or 2 operating rooms.
Right.
And so a few months beforehand, they publicize it. And then the Rotarians help to transport the patients. They go out into all these areas, and, having an address just sort of depending on where you live is, but they know where they are in the communities. And so, yes, they get them on the schedule. They're on Rotary's radar, and Rotary makes sure we find them.
So the ones that have had a surgery that need a second get priority for for finishing the revision. Like
Well,
when
what
you
we've done in some areas, the doctors are able to do the revisions because we've been training for so long. And so Rotary makes sure that the doctors can do those surgeries for free, because that's the deal with the hospital. And so that's why it's important to have Rotarians, boots on the ground, to make sure the hospital, after those Americans leave, don't just decide to change the deal. They're not crossing Rotary. Not a good plan to cross Rotary, because Rotary does a lot of good things in the community and everybody knows it. So Candace, can you send George's contact information out to everyone?
I will. And I will, when I follow up after the meeting to all of our members, I'll make sure to have all that information in there. I'll be glad to do that.
George, you have to change your biography, because now you're the Smile Man. He changed his name from the
Yeah, I changed the Waterman to the Smile Man.
Yeah.
Not only that, when you buy a painting, I'm on Facebook. I got 5,000 friends. When I put a message up there, it goes down to 20, 30,000 people, and your pet will be featured.
Oh.
Well, John and Lene have already in the chat encouraged us to check out your Facebook page, and so we absolutely will do that. Absolutely. Well, one of the things that struck me was treating children as young as, I don't know, 6 months, 8, 9 months, all the way up to the young man who was 20, 21, 20. Wow. So I was sitting there reflecting on the life that he's had
Until now.
getting to 20 some years old, and just what a massive, massive difference, because he's experienced all of it. The little ones, of course, their parents and grandparents have the toughest time in a way, but to be a young person and go through growing up like that, and then to be healed by health and by Rotary is extraordinary. What a great story. Lance, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Candace. First, Ruth, that was a fantastic presentation, and I can
It's
tell
your story. It's your story.
and what you did and how you presented it was just phenomenal. And George, thank you for all you do. I've been watching you on Facebook for many years, and really do appreciate it. And I'm sure Lene and I'll be contacting you about a pet portrait here pretty soon. My question is that early on you're talking about Rotaractors. Do y'all take Rotaractors down there, or are they Rotaractors in country?
In country Rotaractors.
And did they go to, because I know there's multiple places, Bolivia and Peru. So you have Rotaractors. I just think that's amazing, and it's really good to get the youth involved like that.
And we try to get them to do the social media with the Rotaractors, you know, in country, between the host club and the international club, because they help a lot with social media, which is great because they're digital natives. I mean, it's, you know.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Could never do it without Rotary. Oh, somebody else had a question.
Yes, Candace, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Ruth, I wanted to also say that I've been in Rotary almost 30 years, and that is one of the best presentations of the value of Rotary I have ever seen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's very kind.
And, you know, we have, in Rotary, we have been struggling for so many years to how to get our message out. Because when people finally are touched by Rotary, we know what happens. And I remember I had a client who was a very wealthy man, and I explained to him one day when he was in his 80s what Rotary was. And he looked at me as if, why didn't anyone tell me about Rotary before? So I see all of the video communication and social media going on in the world, and I feel like Rotary is still being too conservative in how they communicate with the world, because I believe that if that presentation was on the evening news, and I see all of these people who are doing all of these home shows, and they're showing how to do remodel your home, why can't Rotary do stories and have a regular TV show about all of the great things that Rotarians do? And this would be like the keystone of getting everyone's attention, because I believe we could have 5 million Rotarians if the world knew what we really accomplish. And that presentation is $1 million presentation, and we have to get this out.
Thank you. You know, it's your story. We could never do it without you, because otherwise all we were is a little fly-by-night mission group that just parachuted in and did our stuff and leave. We didn't have any juice with the local people, whereas Rotary is always the captains of industry, the movers and shakers, and everybody knows that golden wheel. Even if they've never heard of AdventHealth, everybody knows Rotary. In the community, you are always doing, everywhere we go to do good in the world, y'all are already there.
And I wanted to make one other point, that you made it so subtly, but I never was able to make the case for this word sustainability. And I'm an architect, and I know what sustainability is from an architectural standpoint, but the concept of a grant being sustainable is kind of a nebulous thing. But you said it, and it finally hit me square in the eyes. is the continuity and sustainability of any project is that the Rotary clubs are there continuously to make sure that it happens.
Exactly.
And I don't know if everybody gets that message. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, I said it, but you did it. You know, I'm just reporting on Rotary. So thank you for having a character and a reputation, because I didn't create your reputation. You created your reputation, but you don't tell anybody. It's like, don't say it.
Right.
So I'm getting out the pom-poms going, hey,
Right.
Rotary.
Yep.
Well, that is one reason we record these meetings, because we do edit them to your section of the meeting that is your program, and we put it up on YouTube and we share it as widely as we can. So
Well, please do.
we're hoping to do our part. But the fact that you have
let
committed
me
to
tell you-
speaking
let me
to
tell you
over
one little-
100, I'm sorry?
Do I have time for one little story?
Yeah, please.
Well, I've been in Rotarian since 2002, and I got involved with water, and without going into do it, I've helped over 2 million people get clean drinking water. I belong to the when I moved here, I belonged to one club, and they did water, so I helped them raise money. But then recently, just a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I had to move. And I moved to a club in Venice, Florida. Venice, Florida, the Rotary Club is fantastic. They have almost 100 members. They've done wonderful things. They've been in existence for 75 years, no, 50 years, 50 years. So I asked the club when I got there, I asked the head of the membership, I said, what does this club do internationally? He said, we don't do anything. I said, that's impossible. How can you not do anything? You're a great club, and this is Rotary International. He says, well, we just never got involved in it. I said, I'm going to change that. So I got involved somehow, and I met Ruth in the AdventHealth, and we started it, and I had a wonderful partner. He says, let's do this. Let's do a grant. He didn't know how to do it, and I'll say, I'll help raise the money. And then what happened was we did a $35,000 grant right away. The club changed. They supported us. They bought paintings. Only they bought 77 paintings, pet portraits. Now they love it. The second grant was almost 100,000. The third grant was 40,000. The fourth grant is another 100,000. The club is changed. And I wish that all clubs could get involved internationally. And it's a shame that they don't. But when they do, it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling to know that you're helping all of these people internationally, because that's what Rotary should be doing. And I can't say enough for how great this club has supported us. And they haven't done that before. So it's wonderful. Thank you.
No, I just want to point out one of the things that the international clubs tell us, the host clubs, every year when the team comes down, every year new people come to see what's happening and new people join Rotary in country, in Mexico and Bolivia and Peru, because they say what Ken said, I didn't know Rotary did this. Well, wait, I want to be part of this. And so they're visiting one year, and by the next year, they're working in the club. It's amazing. So this does not just heal children. It does not just become sustainable as a grant, but it grows Rotary. It increases the visibility of Rotary, and it increases contributions to the foundation. Contributions to the foundation just don't help my kids. They help everybody's kids. They help all over the world. So I'm just so excited to be able to partner. You guys are the best partners in the world. Sorry, I'm done.
Well, we hope you're not done, but I do want to honor everybody's time. The one thing that I just want to share is that very few people understand all of the moving parts that it takes to make this work happen. The medical part people get, but the way you explained all of the other support needs that these projects require, and that Rotarians are right there doing it, whether it's driving up into the jungle to find the boy, or whatever it is, or providing the bed space just so people have a safe place to sleep while they're waiting is just extraordinary. So thank you. You have an incredible story, and you make us feel really good about ourselves too. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Well, you're their
we do have a
heroes, so
program.
thank you.
We have a program in honor of our speakers each week of donating a book to a little free library somewhere in the upstate. And this book was selected especially for Ruth and George. And we can't begin to say thank you enough, but this is just a token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
And it's a book meant for children who are going through this journey. So thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. I'm going to drop off. My husband is giving me the where's dinner look.
Yeah, I know. And so the next step, oh boy, you segued right into that. So we're going to wind up the meeting by to get together, reciting the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is it the truth?
The truth.
Second,
Is
it fair to all concerned?
will it build
goodwill and better
friendships?
And fourth,
We benefit.
Will it
from
be
it.
beneficial to all concerned?
third. Ruth and George, thank you so very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. That is a
Uh,
great meeting. Thank you.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George and Ruth.
Thank you.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.